Hi, everyone. Thank you so very much for being here today. So this is our Port St. Lucie Utility Systems Lunch and Learn. The topic today is water conservation. I am so excited for this topic. We have 5 different speakers from 5 different agencies and organizations, all women, just saying. We have a very powerful crew today, so I'm so excited to share them with you. There's so much knowledge sitting at this table, so much expertise and experience, so I'm thrilled to have them here. Before we get started, though, I'd like to acknowledge our event sponsor, E1. So Jim, if you want to come up and just say a few words. This is Jim Welsh. He's been with E1 for too long, he says, but he's just going to share a few thoughts.
Well, hey guys, thank you all for taking time out of your day to come out here and eat with us and learn about water conservation, stormwater, and some really good speakers here to talk to you guys for the day. So our company, Environment One, we're the ones that are manufacturing your residential wastewater grinder pumps. So if you look outside your house and you see a green tank, 13,000 of those at this point are ours, and then the remainder will be at some point in the future. We work directly with the City of Port St. Lucie Water and Sewer District, and they are a great group of people. So if you guys have questions regarding your system, what to do or how to interact with it, feel free to let them know, and they'll answer all your questions. But like Jenny said, you have a great group of speakers today, so I'm going to thank you for eating all the food and turn it over to them.
Thank you. All right, so before we get started, let me introduce you to this amazing row of panelists. First, we will start with Laura Jenkins. She's the Environmental Education Coordinator with the Environmental Resources Department with Oxbow Eco Center. Next to her is Kalita Scott, Community Engagement Coordinator with Indian River Lagoon Council. And then we have Whitney O'Neill, owner of Wild Flora Farm, LLC, an environmental educator. And we have Adele Pena, a senior water conservation analyst with South Florida Water Management District. And then last but not least, Elise, I should have asked you how to say your last name. Shookman, thank you. Elise Shookman, she's an extension agent with a focus on urban horticulture with University of Florida, the IFAS Extension Office. So thank you all again so much for being here. So real quickly, April is Water Conservation Month. That's why we're doing this, right? That's why that's our topic. So we have a very awesome young man here with us today. So this is the 8th year in a row that Utility Systems has sponsored a Drop Savers Water Conservation poster contest. So we do this every year. We give kids K through 12th grade an opportunity to create a design with their artwork that conveys some sort of water conservation message. So one of the winners is here with us. Isaiah, you want to come up? Come on up, Isaiah. He's awesome. He had no idea that I was going to do this to him, but now you know. So this is Isaiah McLeish. He was our 8th grade winner. 8th grade, right? 8th grade winner this year. So would you like to share with the group kind of what your inspiration was for your poster? Sorry. Sorry, Mom. Is Mom recording too? Yeah, she's recording. Go ahead.
I just want to show how much a difference saving water could make.
Right up.
I just wanted to show how much a difference saving water can make. I wanted to show this waterfall here to show that even the smallest drop can make the biggest difference, as you can see right here. Yeah, that's basically it. I didn't prepare a speech or anything.
That's perfect. I just wanted to give him some praise. And they have a very big family, so his little brother was the winner last year. Was it pre-K? Pre-K? Yeah, so that's the pre-K winner from last year is back there too. So there's our picture. All the winners were recognized at the city council meeting on Monday night, so it was a really special event. So there's some of our other winners, so thank you so much. I'm sorry. All right, so obviously this is why we're here, right? Water is the most important thing on earth. You can survive for 3 weeks without food, but only about 3 days without water. Can we agree? Like without it, we wouldn't be much of a planet, would we? So we'll go ahead and get started. This is just a few tips from me, your friendly neighborhood water woman here. So some super easy ways just to save water throughout your daily routine. So just by turning the faucet off in the morning and at night, you save 8 gallons of water. 8 gallons of water. I see everybody writing furiously. 8 gallons of water. That's the easiest, just a day. Yep. Now that's your recommended 2 minutes, you know. Yeah. So 8 gallons of water every day you can save just by turning the faucet off when you brush your teeth. Depending on the shower head, if you take about a 5-minute shower, that's anywhere from 10 to 25 gallons. So I try to tell people to aim for 5-minute showers, and then you'll fall somewhere in that region. And then we have hand washing your dishes versus dishwasher. What do you think? More water when you hand wash or more water when you use the dishwasher? Exactly, yeah. So only 6 gallons if you use a dishwasher versus about 27 gallons if you just have that water running and you're doing. So that's just a couple little tips from me, but we'll go on and get to the experts. We're going to start with Kalita here. Oh no, just kidding. Just kidding. Just kidding. Lauren, come on up. That's okay, come on up. We're going to start with Lauren. I skipped right past you.
Hey everybody. Hi, my name is Lauren Jenkins. I am the education coordinator at Oxbow Eco Center. We are actually part of St. Lucie County's Environmental Resources Department. Hi, Isaiah. Isaiah's one of our campers too. Great job, congratulations. I do all the education programming at Oxbow, whether that's adult programming or anything other than school field trips. So I run all of our summer camps and things like that too. I wanted to specifically talk to you about one of our adult programs called St. Lucie Water Champions. So St. Lucie Water Champions is a program that we've developed that's all about education about St. Lucie County, its water, and it's also an action-based program. So any of you who are out there thinking, I see this issue in my neighborhood regarding water, stormwater, whatever, and I want to do something about it, but I don't know how, we're the people that you can go to and we'll help you. So this is an education action-based program, St. Lucie Water Champions, that's both half virtual and half in person. Typically it occurs October and November. So upcoming October we'll have another course that's coming up. You can find all of the information about St. Lucie Water Champions on our website, oxboweco.com. How many of you have been to Oxbow Eco before Oh, a lot of you, great. How many of you knew that we were part of St. Lucie County Environmental Resources Department? Not as many. Yeah, we are a part of the county. We're not a private entity or anything like that. A lot of people are confused. So all the information for the St. Lucie Water Champions program will be on Oxbow's website. So oxboweco.com. There's a little St. Lucie Water Champions section. You'll find all the info there and to sign up. It's totally free, and you can pick and choose which sessions you would like to join. For instance, last October, we had 3 virtual sessions, each ranging on a different topic, all based around water, and then 3 in-person sessions where we got to really take that education we learned and put it into practice, really get a better understanding of what we learned. And then the other half of the program is all about action. So let's say we had somebody in years past come up to Oxbow and say, hey, I see an issue in my neighborhood. There's a big canal behind my house, and there's tons of trash in it. I hate looking at it. I want it gone. How do we figure this out? Let's figure out the root of the problem. As time went by, we figured out that the problem was that there was an apartment complex also near that canal that didn't have their own dumpster. So what was happening was residents, without any place to put their trash, it was ending up in the canal. So they came to us, we helped work it out, we did some investigating. The apartment complex has a dumpster now, and now the canal doesn't have any trash in it. So that's just one example. Another example could be, I live in an HOA community. I would love for our landscaping to be more Florida friendly. How do I do that? So that's another example of a project that we could help you with. So there's really no limits to these projects, and we are open to suggestion. But I just wanted you to realize, I've got some pamphlets here too if anybody's interested, is that there are over 340,000 residents in St. Lucie County. Everybody has an impact. Just like Isaiah's poster, every drop makes a difference, right? So every action that every person in our county does in their general life impacts our St. Lucie River and its watershed. And you know, there's 781 square miles that impact the St. Lucie River, and all that stuff flows into our river, whether that's rainwater or too much fertilizer or pesticides or trash, all that stuff ends up there. So every little bit of impact that you can personally make in your life will definitely impact that St. Lucie River and its health. So to recap, St. Lucie Water Champions program is an education program that will teach you about water quality and water health and stormwater, but also will give you the opportunity to physically take action and make a difference in our county. And you guys have more brains than just me. So if you come with an idea of something you want to do, we'll try to work to help make that happen. And again, they're half virtual and half in-person programs. And then there's that action portion. To give you an example of what kind of classes we're talking about, we did one class about stormwater. What is it? How does it impact our environment? We did one class about water quality. How do you know water is clean or not? We did some biological indicating testing. We did some chemical indicators testing. And then we did another one about native landscaping and how that impacts water quality as well. We also went on a kayak trip, and we did a stormwater projects tour. And Jenny even joined us on our kayak trip last time. It was so fun. So it is a great program. You meet a lot of other people, just like these kind of events, and really meeting people who are interested in making a difference in the county that we live in. If you have any questions, you can always call Oxbow. You can always email me. I've got cards up here too. But it's a great program, and I hope you all sign up for it. And remember, it's free. Questions? Real quick about the program? Okay, and I'll be here afterwards too if you think of any. Thank you.
Thanks, Laura. Okay, now on to Kalita.
Good afternoon. I'm actually gonna, yes. It's really because I like looking at these beautiful flowers. It was like a nice, so thank you for having me. Kalita Scott. I work for the Indian River Lagoon National Estuary Program. Has anybody heard of that before? Yeah. That's why I'm here. A couple of years ago, the federal government and the state of Florida provided funding to continue to engage the community because we have these great resource of partners and scientists who are doing amazing work. But it's not going to get there if the scientists don't communicate what's going on. So my role as community engagement coordinator, I actually go out and speak to anybody who wants to listen. Sometimes you can catch me in Fort Pierce walking across the PP Cobb Bridge, and I have a little sign and say, you want to pledge to live lagoon friendly? And people say, what is the lagoon? And I'm like, it's this water right here. So the best thing that I get to do is just get to inform people about something that we already love that we sometimes just don't know how important it is. So I like to start off with the Indian River Lagoon National Estuary Program is an independent district of the state of Florida. So we are a government entity. But having worked in local government before, I find this is the best part. We do not regulate anything. We are simply science-based, community-driven, and consensus building. So our job is to convene many partners some of them that are here today, to make sure that we have a comprehensive plan to protect and conserve the Indian River Lagoon. Now, many of you who live here, some of you may be new. How many of you, from a long time ago, my dad, my grandfather, I'm from Fort Pierce, so I've rooted in this area, and they always just called it the river. How many of you have called it the river? That's what everybody calls it. It is an estuary. It isn't a lagoon. So it's a very important thing. So important that we, the Indian River Lagoon, is a part of a national estuary program, one of 28 significant estuaries in the United States. So this place where we live is environmentally significant. So we want people to make sure they know that it's their job. That it's their job to protect and conserve, and actually just learn about how important it is. Did I do something?
No, it's okay. It's a little loose.
Okay. Ultimately, again, I speak to organizations like this group. Thanks again to Jenny for inviting me, but I speak to Rotary clubs. I speak to local governments on behalf of them. Generally, we are an extension of our partners. Case in point, did anybody go to Earth Day this weekend? It's my grandmother's birthday and one of my favorite days ever since I was a kid. I always like to say that. So it's important to make it Earth Day every day. I have to give a shout out. This event is so amazing. And what I could do with my job is go and support them, because it takes a village really to pull off an event like that, over 100 volunteers. I feel like I'm giving some of her stuff. But it's a beautiful event that can't happen without people who care. So I thank you for being here and caring. But the more that we know, the more that we'll do. The Indian River Lagoon National Estuary Program, we have something called the 10 R's. And we ask that people just live lagoon friendly. And you're going to hear some of these things here with some of our partners. A lot of it overlaps. And I don't like to read for you, but it's really knowing and understanding what's going on. So just do a little bit of research. We're so lucky. We're kind of lucky. We're lucky to live in this information age where we can kind of tap up and see what's going on. I always encourage people to go to your local government website. Their information is there. Speak to your local politician if you want to know, you want to do something. But also, we just found out that if you want to do something, you can contact even some of our very, very engaged and wonderful staff members. So I like to consider myself just a champion for the community, but also a champion for engaging with people. It's more than outreach, because outreach is kind of sometimes you just go and you sit. But sometimes you have to ask questions. So I love this format. Oh, man. I love this format because you get an opportunity to speak directly with people who may have a question that you can answer directly. So outside of doing the research, knowing your septic system, knowing about bugs and plants, know that this is a lagoon, and know the 10 R's. So we'll start with, that's the first one, research. But it's also important to know it's your responsibility. So ever since I was a kid, I've been a volunteer. It's just in me. I can't help it. Probably a lot of you too. And when you take that responsibility, when you know better, you do better. So we ask property owners, car owners, boat owners, pet owners to be mindful that it's your job to keep the community clean. We want to reduce fertilizers, herbicides, pesticides, and other chemicals. Try rain barrels to reduce the amount of stormwater that runs off your property. And also, just always go. The resources are here. UF, IFAS, Go Gators. It's a wonderful organization, and they have so many resources. They'll come help you. You can call them up. It's amazing. So we want to reduce our use. Sorry, I get going. Remove exotic invasive plants from your landscaping. However, I'll defer to my partners here who are going to talk more about that. Restore our natural habitats to your landscaping to attract desirable wildlife like butterflies and birds. Our waterfront residents are some of my favorite community to talk to because they're so engaged, and so many people are moving here from the south and the north. They don't really know the resource, and when they find out how awesome it is, they want to be a part of it and doing anything that they can. I want to interject and say the reason that I love my job is because I get a chance to refute this thing that I think is really important. A lot of people, and I'll say this, me too, in the past, have been guilty of thinking that nobody's doing anything. That's me. But if you have an opportunity, there are a few annual reports back there to show that there is a lot of funding, especially right now. We just recently saw our governor invest or propose to invest over $100 million in the Indian River Lagoon alone. So we're so happy for that funding. But what we're going to do with our organization is make sure that our partners are doing the right thing and making all the changes that are needed and upgrades and whatever else to make sure that we protect and preserve the lagoon. This is simple. I'm not going to read it to you, but we want to rebuild some of your property's features, report any illegal dumping of appliances, used furniture. I hate to see stacks of things on the side of the road. Call the government, right? Let them know that they can come pick it up. respond to the issues by you guys are doing it right now. You're literally responding by sitting here and listening to these presentations about how you can help us. Volunteer with one of the many organizations. Some of the groups that I give talks to, Rotary Club, they're so excited because there's opportunity to do something. And I'll give you an example. I gave a presentation to the Rotary Club of Fort Pierce. They're celebrating their 100th anniversary, and they're an engaged group. They're so excited. And they found out that the St. Lucie County Education Foundation is going to adopt a spoiled island with the purpose of educating all of our youth in St. Lucie County going forward and making sure they understand how important this resource is. And that started from a simple conversation after a presentation. And now this group is going on water quality projects. They're sampling water quality with Orca. And so what we do is make sure that everybody talks to each other, make sure everybody's on the same page. And that's really our resolve, to do our part to live lagoon friendly. Simple things like not leaving trash behind, tangle fishing line, get active in the community, and enlist your neighbors and friends. So I hope that after this, you consider me one of your neighbors and friends. I'm here in Port St. Lucie at the Oxbow, at all these water sources. McCarty Ranch is one of my favorites. I'm actually about to go camping there in the summer. So I love to make sure people know that we live in a wonderful place and it's our job to protect it. So please pledge to live lagoon friendly. There are little buttons if some of you saw them. If not, please come get one from me and take the pledge. Thank you.
Next up is Whitney. I'm going to get your presentation going and give you the clicker if you want. Yeah.
All right, hi everybody. My name is Whitney O'Neill. Thank you for being here. I just realized this, one of my favorite things about people asking who I am or what I do is who do I work for, and I work for myself. Yay. I am here for you, not because anybody made me be here, other than that, Jenny.
You want to talk? Yeah, sorry.
I'm sorry.
Just talk a little bit closer.
Okay, sorry. Hold on. Let me stick it in here. Okay, is that better? Okay, cool. So my background is in environmental education. I've been an educator in elementary schools. I've worked for environmental education centers, Heathcote Botanical Gardens. I was a former master gardener, and now I have my own farm where I grow native plants and I help people design native landscapes. I'm here to talk to you about Florida native plants for water quality. Okay. So, what are native plants? Plants are defined as native if they were indigenous and growing in natural associations and habitats that existed prior to European contact. They have co-evolved with Florida's native butterflies, birds, and other wildlife. What's important about that? So, you'll see this map. This is a zone map. When you go to buy native plants, this is not what you're looking for. This tells you which plants grow in which zones. Native plants are actually indigenous to our area and sometimes specific counties, which you'll be looking for a specific plant, not the common name, but the genus and species. The species can change too, which makes it kind of tricky. Number 2, sustainability. Properly sited native plants satisfy the need for water and soil efficiency while tolerating Florida environmental extremes. With Florida-friendly landscaping principles, they right plant, right place. Most of the time you can plant a native plant and it'll do just fine. Sometimes it's what's in your soil. Sometimes you can see plants that are doing great west of 95 and then on the coast they're not thriving, or after a hurricane they die off. It really is very specific. So when you're looking for native plants in your landscape, what you're going to want to do is, well, actually, that's my next slide. Hold on, I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me read this first. Under natural systems and over many centuries, plants become biologically adapted to environmental circumstances and evolve methods for dealing with the stresses imposed by habitats in which they live. Why do you want to argue with Mother Nature? She has been here since the beginning of time. She has these plants specific in these areas so that we don't have to work as hard. Who likes being out there in the middle of the Florida heat in the summer on your hands and your knees in your garden, trying to give them fertilizers and pesticides and watering and fixing your irrigation systems? I'm sorry, I don't. And most of the people in this room probably do not garden 8 hours a day in the middle of summer like I do. And the reason why I do that most of the time is for people like you, which I will give you guys my cards later, and I will help you with whatever whatever you need in your gardens. Hold on, clicker's not working. Water conservation. So these specific plants for our areas, the reason why it's so important for our watershed is these three different areas: irrigation, fertilizer, and pest management. Now, irrigation, you're not going to need as much a threshold for water requirements. Now, and that's also depending on our seasons as well. They are higher adaptive to the season changes. The fertilizer, there's going to be nutrients readily available in the soil, dependent on where these plants are specifically supposed to be. Now, that does not mean that you're not going to have to water it. I mean, you guys just had lunch, right? I mean, you get your food and your water and you need your nutrients. There still are things in the environment that you need. Also, pest management. There's a natural resistance that some of the plants we have here. There's also, I don't know if you've ever been to a nursery before, and specifically with vegetables, and they'll say they're resistant to different viruses or bacteria or things like that. Well, these plants already have that built in. Mother Nature did that for us. Here are some retailers where you can buy native plants. The St. Lucie County Master Gardeners, which have a plant sale coming up. Weatherby Nursery on Weatherby Road. Nelson's Nursery is on Midway Road, and Pinder's is in Palm City. Now, if I don't have plants, or if my friends don't have plants, these are the types of nurseries that I go to. But you also have to be diligent. You know, whip out your phone. You've got Google there. You know, you can look and see what genuses and species are native. Don't just trust the retailers, because sometimes it's false. You know, you can say that something's native, like echinacea. Well, yeah, echinacea is native to northern Florida, but not to southern Florida. So just be diligent in your work, or, you know, you will have my number at the end of this, and you can always text me, and I can look it up for you, or have the information off the top of my head. This is the plant sale that's coming up from the Master Gardener volunteers. Most of these plants that I found came from the Master Gardeners. They are out there every single week propagating plants. They are volunteers. They do this for free. You can go to their nursery and hook up with them whenever you want and go and buy native plants for your landscape. Or for a friend. It's the perfect Mother's Day gift, just saying that's coming up. Nudge, nudge. All right. So here are some resources. Ask IFAS. That is a fantastic website. Now, this is all research-based information. This is not just hearsay or people's trial and errors or Facebook or whatever. This is like the facts, black and white. So you go in there. Now, you do have to have the genus and species name. I don't think that most of the time, unless it brings it up in a blog where it'll have the common name of a native plant. There's also some of the blogs in there where I've found people talking about alternatives. So if you're going to a nursery like Home Depot and you're looking for firebush, well, they do have firebush. Is that a native plant? Well, they do have a native one, and they have a non-native one. So, but, I mean, when you're in a pinch, probably best to get the one that's as close as the native as you can get. There's also Florida Native Plant Society, which they also have some events and things going on if you go on their website, and they have lists of alternatives as well. I love my Facebook groups. Now, this is not research-based information. It is the internet, people. But they are great. They will give you their how-tos, do-nots, what's, and any other information that you would want or not want. But it is a fantastic resource, especially for getting free plants or plant swapping. There's a Port St. Lucie plant swap group, too, which is great. And they have, I think it's this Sunday, the Port St. Lucie Plant Swap has a plant swap Veterans Memorial Park on Sunday. Okay, and then this book, which is fantastic, Florida's Best Native Landscape Plants. Now, this one does not have all the native plants, but it has a good reference for a lot of the ones that work here. Okay, and here is just a quote that I thought was pretty fantastic. You know, a good writer for, you know, something that's pretty research based. But there's a subtle beauty and cohesiveness within a natural system, a beauty that arises out of symmetry, harmony, and interdependence. With planning and forethought, the same sense and beauty can be replicated in managed landscapes, whether left untrimmed or manicured to fit into the aesthetic of a formal garden. Such naturalistic settings will furnish shelter and food for local wildlife, as well as provide for conservation and sustainability. And that's by Gil Nelson, who wrote that book right there, the Native Plant Landscape Plants. All right. So here's some of the plants that I brought. This is my name and information. My phone number, you can text me, email me. I do have 4 kids. 2 of them are in sports, so I'm a very busy woman. But I will get back to you and give you the best information I can. If I do not have it, I will find it out for you. Some of the plants that I brought with me today, they're beautiful and colorful, all native plants. Tillandsias, which is a type of bromeliad, wild poinsettia, native plum, lime sizzler, firebush, tropical sage, powder puff mimosa, which the cute little pink flowers just died yesterday. I was so bummed. Button sage, coontie, porterweed, dune, sunflower, and blanket flower. All of these are great for the landscape here in Port St. Lucie, and a lot of them are great for our pollinators. And that's all I got. Thank you guys very much.
Thanks, Whitney. I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Adele while I get your presentation. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Adele. I work for South Florida Water Management District in water conservation. We have 5 water conservation districts throughout the state. And generally, the core mission of the water management districts is to protect water supply, maintain water levels, flood control, protect water quality, and environmental restoration. For our particular district of 16 counties, we have 155 local governments. That's comprehensive Everglades restoration. So a lot of our resources do go towards greater Everglades restoration. And I am happy to be here because it is Water Conservation Month. So Water Conservation Month is the brainchild of American Water Works Association, and they come together with the water management districts and all the counties to put water conservation at the forefront of everyone's minds again. Even when we don't think of Florida as a water limited state, we have plenty of access to freshwater resources. We have thousands of lakes, we have rivers, we have the highest concentration of springs in the world. And we do get plenty of rain, around 54 inches. However, that rain is generally seasonal. And we do share that rain mainly in the summer with plants who also tend to need more water when it is hottest. So a lot of that we share with trees and plants and is lost through evotranspiration. Some of that we lose to runoff. And some of that does percolate finally down to our underground system where we get our water supply. So we do pretty well with water. We're not California, right? The issue is, however, that we do have a large population and growing. Our district alone, we have the most populous counties, and you know who that is. That's going to be Miami-Dade, Broward, and Palm Beach. And I've been in the area probably a couple of years, and I've seen how much St. Lucie is growing. And so this is really what water management districts, what we have to grapple with is how do we maintain supply for the continued growing population.
And so for us, even though we see this kind of pattern throughout the state, the majority of the water that comes to us that is used is in public supply. And within that category, within that chunk, most of that is not going to, drinking water or washing your clothes. It's going to irrigation, almost 60%. So all this water that is coming to our homes is being used outdoors mainly, okay? So that's a lot of water. And there's a number of issues associated with excessive irrigation. One being runoff. And the issue with runoff is that you're washing away a number of chemicals and fertilizers that then get into our waterways, causing algal blooms, which are ecotoxins, harmful algal blooms anyway. And you're really wasting your money on fertilizer because now you're leaching nutrients that you put into your landscape. You're washing that away. In addition to, waterlogging roots and causing fungal diseases and such in your landscape. So the issue is mainly associated with lawn irrigation. People really think that you need to irrigate your lawn every single day. And really, like I said before, if you look at this graph, typical plant needs are the highest in the green in the summer, which also coincides when we get the most rain. So you can see really when we need the extra water is the dark blue, which are the earlier, drier months. So we don't really need that much water to maintain a healthy lawn. And so I cannot begin discussing irrigation and giving you tips on that without discussing hydrozones. You can take an entire workshop on hydrozones, but in simple terms, it's grouping plants by water needs. You want to, generally speaking, if you're mixing plants in one section that need one type or amount of water with one that needs more, you're generally going to target the plant that needs more. That usually will show the first signs of visible stress. So now you're overwatering a section. If you look at the picture, this is kind of ideal. You do want to separate your plant beds from your turf. If you're thinking that your landscape is already well established and you can't really, think about hydrozoning, you can. The districts have what we call water-wise landscaping. So if you Google water-wise landscaping, it'll take you to the site. And if you type in your zip code, it'll give you a list of drought-tolerant plants. You also have Florida-friendly landscaping, and they have 9 principles that you can go by. And you have your local extension agent here today, who you can call and reach out to and get suggestion on how to start making your landscape more water-wise or Florida-friendly. You can start maybe changing out certain areas of your turf with alternative ground cover. So there's things you can do. I've done it and I've seen it done. The other thing that you also need to separate is your sprinkler type. You cannot have a rotary and a spray or a drip all together in one section. You do not get even uniformity. The way or the rate that these apply water are very different. As you can see here, sprays are applying water 2 to 3 times faster than rotors and rotary. So you're basically wasting water. So if you're using several types per section, don't do that. That's a hot mess. And so this is what I'm talking about, this type. Most people have one of these on their landscape. Sprays are basically just fixed and they kind of apply water in this kind of fan shaped. The rotary and rotor, they rotate. But out of these, we do consider rotary to be a little bit more efficient than the other two. And so the rotary and the spray do have the same type of sprinkler body. So you could replace the spray nozzle with a rotary sprinkler nozzle. The other thing that is available is WaterSense sprinkler bodies. So WaterSense is a certification process from the Environmental Protection Agency. So it is voluntary, but any company that makes a product or technology that they consider to be water efficient, they go to EPA, and if they meet certain standards, they can slap this label on their product. This is to help the customer or consumer, you all, make wise purchases. So when you're out there, you can see what would be considered more efficient equipment. And so we do have WaterSense sprinkler bodies that you can purchase very inexpensively. They're also working on WaterSense nozzles, I think maybe next year. So these are two very simple things that you can do, and you just step up your your water use efficiency just a little bit. However, having said that, micro irrigation is the most efficient. This is what we would like to see and recommend. While these, however, are best for turf, this is not ideal for turf. But micro irrigation is just basically a low volume system, and you're applying small amounts of water at the surface or the soil level. You're basically giving the water directly to the root. You're not wasting water on evaporation. You're not spraying leaves, so you're not getting, the fungal spot that you get when you're spraying water onto foliage. And it's very inexpensive. So ideal location for this is going to be your flower beds, other plant beds, your vegetable garden. If you don't have anything like this, you can buy this very inexpensively. You can get a drip hose and set it up. You don't need to hire a contractor to do this for you. And so this is ideal. And in addition, if you do currently have an irrigation system with a controller that is automated, you are required by law to have a rain sensor. The rain sensor, in very simple terms, sends a notification to your irrigation system or to your controller to stop if it's raining. And the majority of controllers do tend to work on a clock, so you just set it to a certain time and date, and that's it. It's not really smart. It's not coming up. It's not collecting any kind of data. So what we have nowadays are what we call smart technology. So we have soil moisture sensors that can work using weather data, like a weather station. A lot of agricultural producers, this is what they use. That's a little bit more expensive. For homeowners, you can get a simple soil moisture sensor. So you get a controller that is getting data from a soil probe on your property that is then telling it whether or not your irrigation should come on. And the rain sensor can work with the not so smart controller, and it can also work with this. So altogether, you can have smart irrigation technology to make your irrigation decisions. The other thing that you need to remember, we do have irrigation ordinances. So with irrigation ordinances, all of the water management districts, well, 4 out of the 5 in the state, we have these. So this is just a tool to help water conservation. So it restricts watering to 2 or 3 days per week, and then before 10 and after 4. You guys here in St. Lucie, you're on a 2-day, okay? So if your house ends on an odd number, you're Wednesday and Saturday, and if you're even, you are Thursday and Sunday. This does not apply to reclaimed water. It does not apply to micro irrigation. Let's see, what else? If you're hand watering with an out-of-off nozzle, I think that's all I can think of for the moment. So keep this in mind, and in general, we want you to get into the mentality and idea that your irrigation system is a supplemental. Your main source of watering really needs to be the rain. And so I have put here a picture of a rain gauge. This is just a way to collect water. And I have one, and during the rainy season, I check my rain gauge all the time. And this is one way that you can see if you're needing about a half or 3/4 of water per event, including rain, and it just rains. Sometimes it seems like it rained a lot or it rained little. You don't know for sure. Look at your rain gauge and you can get a more accurate idea about how much water you've had and whether or not you need supplemental irrigation. And the last thing I did want to discuss are water conservation rebates. We do have what we call a cooperative funding program. And with the cooperative funding program, we will fund conservation, any projects that will help promote water conservation. We also have it for alternative water supply. But for my section, it is not restricted to outdoors. We also have indoor rebates, for high efficiency toilets and appliances. And so the way that this works, though, is through utilities and other governments. We would not be able to give this directly to you. So your utility, your city, your county would need to apply for one of these grants. We do it every year. and they get this grant, and then you, as the resident, say you wanted to buy a rain sensor, you purchase a rain sensor, depending on what the program is, could be for a rain sensor, could be a high efficiency toilet. You come to your utility and they will reimburse you a certain percentage of that. So if any of the things that you saw today, say you want some more technology or you want more indoor conservation stuff, I checked, we don't currently have any new grants with your utility. I checked to see if there's any other rebate programs funded elsewhere. I didn't see it. It doesn't mean you guys don't have it. You might want to double check with Jenny and anybody else. But you should be contacting your city and your utility and saying, hey, can you guys apply for these grants? Because that money will then, trickle down to you all. And so this is by no means a comprehensive view on, efficient irrigation. You can do a deeper dive, take a certification course. You can come on our website for more tips and resources. And if you need to contact me, this is my email. And with that, I leave it to the next presenter.
Hi, my name is Elise Shookman. I am the St. Lucie County Urban Horticulture Extension Agent. If you don't know what extension is, we kind of serve as the channel in which research gets to homeowners and residents. We have a lot of different programs. We have youth programs. Do you want to stand up? We actually have our youth extension agent, our 4-H extension agent here with us. So my job as an urban horticulture extension agent is I'll create publications based on research. I'll do presentations. And also, I will help you with your horticultural problems. So if you have a weird bug, you have a disease, something's dying, you don't know why, you can bring it into our office and we will help you out with it. I have cards in the back on that table. There's also some flyers for the Master Gardener plant sale and our help desk. We have a Master Gardener help desk as well. So today I'm going to cover rain barrels. I'm going to spend a little bit of time talking about why they matter and kind of going over our water situation here. I'm going to try to scare you, basically. And then we're going to talk about how to use them. I'm not going to get into the nitty-gritty of how to put, the PVC glue on the PVC and all of that. I will probably be doing a rain barrel workshop later, and we can go over all of that then. So, I think we already discussed a little bit the Florida aquifer. That is our main source of drinking water in Florida. It is one of the largest aquifers in the world and the largest in the U.S., and it is recharged by rainfall. When I was a kid, I used to think of the Florida aquifer as maybe like a bowl sitting under Florida with some kind of Swiss cheese rock, in there, and then all this water flowing through it. Well, when I learned more about the aquifer, I actually realized it is like a bunch of series of bowls with different semi-permeable, areas in between them, and sediment and different types of rock. And depending on where you are in Florida, some of the bowls are really close to the surface or they're really deep, and all the bowls kind of connect to each other, but not really. And even the outside bowl is not actually solid. It's kind of like someone broke a bowl and then put it back together and didn't really see what they were doing. So here's a picture of one of the, so in St. Lucie County, what we have, what our aquifer system looks like is we have a surficial aquifer system, which is water and it's kind of mixed with some sediment. This is fresh water. It's not as filtered as the water that's deeper down because it hasn't filtered through the next layer, which is the intermediate confining unit, which is really just a layer of sediment, like clay and silt. And then we have the Floridan aquifer system at the bottom. So this is the big one, that's the big orange that covers the whole state and part of the rest of the southeast as well. Well, that system varies depending on where you are in the state. In the central part of Florida, it's closer to the surface and it's more fresh water. Along the coast, it's actually salty because the seawater is seeping in through these cracks in the bowl. And the seawater actually sits kind of at the bottom because it's denser. So one of the ways, first way I'm going to scare you is saltwater intrusion. This is not a thing that I knew about a month ago. And so I wanted to bring it up because it is a really big problem. There was a conference I attended yesterday, and that was what the majority of it was about, is how are we going to grow crops when all of our sand, our sand, right, our dirt, and our water is becoming salty. So what happens is the seawater is dense, and it's kind of pushing in on the fresh water in the bowl. But the fresh water is also under pressure, so it's pushing out. And so there's kind of like this equilibrium. There's salt water at the bottom of the bowl, but there's two are semi-balanced. There's not just like seawater coming in constantly, right? But when the groundwater levels get lower as we're pumping water out, and with our sea level rise because of climate change, it's throwing the equilibrium off, so more salt water is coming in. Also, when people pump water, especially if the wells are too deep, but also just if you're pumping a lot, what it does is it's creating this, this cone here. It's called a cone of saltwater intrusion. And it's kind of pushing, it's pulling up the fresh water and it's pulling up the salt water as well. And so what this is doing is it's causing a lot of our wells to fail, to become, so on the right you see it's the salt level in a monitor well in Broward County. But this is our area, and you can see all of these, all of the yellow is basically, in that middle section here, is starting to fail. They're starting to have higher and higher levels of saline in them. So another way that, we already talked about water, being pumped out. So the aquifer, the springs are a good indicator of the water levels in the aquifer, and by measuring their output, we can measure how well the aquifer is doing, how healthy it is, and we have noticed that the flow rates have declined by 32%. That was in 2018, and there are some springs that have completely dried up as well. This is one of them, Kissingen Spring in 2006. Someone already talked about nitrification a little bit. One of the things I wanted to mention, so nitrification caused by fertilizer runoff. It also can be caused by the rainwater just going through the ground and picking up the nitrogen, which is really water soluble, and then bringing it into the aquifer. And it can also be caused by not just fertilizer, but even pet waste. So pick up after your pets, your neighbors will like you more, and so will our waterways. And so algal blooms, the reason that they kill fish is because of dissolved oxygen content in the water. So there's a bunch of algae, you think, oh, there's going to be more oxygen, right? Well, actually, that is true during the middle of the day. They are photosynthesizing, they're creating lots of oxygen. Fish are really happy, everybody is happy. And then at night, the algae continue to respire, and they actually use up all of that oxygen. And especially when the weather is warm, in warm water, there's a lower dissolved oxygen content, so it will cause the fish to suffocate and die. The other reason that algal blooms are really bad is they block sunlight from getting to the seagrass, and then all of the animals that depend on the seagrass, the fish, the manatees, they all don't have anything to eat, they don't have places to hide. And so this was one fish kill that happened in 2023. This actually wasn't that bad of a fish kill. It's mostly small fish. There was a really bad one that happened in 2018. They happen periodically every few years, basically. And then we kind of already covered how water demand is growing, the 5 million people that are projected to move here by 2040. This is a projection of it, and this is a really scary picture of what that would look like, yeah. So, frame barrels. It's a drop in the barrel, but hey, we can try it. Ha ha ha. So what are the benefits? Well, obviously it conserves water, and it conserves water before there's the evapotranspiration loss. So because a lot of the rainfall, the 54 inches that we get every year, actually is evaporated off. Only about 13 of those inches go down into the aquifer. Oh, why is I'm sorry, my slide is all messed up. Okay, so it also reduces erosion. This is awesome because your soil has a top layer, and that top layer is more fertile and it holds more water. When that top layer runs off with the water, then you have to water more frequently because your kind of sponge is gone. It also reduces runoff, which we already talked about, causes algal blooms. The water is more plant friendly. It doesn't contain some of the additives that are in tap water, and you save money. You can buy coffee a week. And hey, it's stylish. I really just needed a sixth thing to make my slide look more balanced. But it transitions into my next slide, rain barrel styles. So there are different styles of rain barrels. There is, and I'm gonna just attempt to grab this now. Okay. So there's open top rain barrel, and then there is also a type of rain barrel where it just has a cutout and you use a gutter, right? And so you can cut your gutter off, and it'll just pour into the rain barrel, or you can use a diverter, and you have to put it over the level of the top of the rain barrel. If you put it down here, it's not going to do anything, right? Gravity, physics, but it'll divert some of the water from your gutter into the rain barrel. So your roof does an awesome job of catching water for you. And basically the takeaway from this is 1/2 inch of rain will fill up your entire rain barrel. So you will have plenty of water. In fact, you can even do multiple rain barrels. So the basic components of a rain barrel is the barrel, the spigot. You can also have a plug at the bottom, and you can use that to fully drain it if you want. It's optional. You need a diverter, which that one doesn't have, or sorry, not a diverter, an overflow valve. So a lot of times this is just a PVC elbow that comes off or something like that, just to keep it from overflowing and coming out of the top or backing up your gutter, which is not a good idea. And you need a place to put it, and you need to put it on elevation. Please don't just put it on the ground. You won't be able to get anything under the rain barrel in order to get the water out. And also every foot of elevation is going to add 0.433 psi of pressure. So this water is not pressurized, and you're going to want some of that extra pressure to get the water to where you want it to go. So where can you get them? Well, I'm not, saying you should go here, but the one place that I know to get the actual barrels, and these are barrels with lids on them, so you will have to either cut a big circle in it or cut a smaller area to get the, for the gutter, is that Fiberglass Supply Depot. This will be recorded, and so you can look at the recording later if you want the info, you can write it down. That's about $30 a barrel. If you do that, though, you're not going to have any of the extra supplies. So what you can do is you can buy one of these, and it has everything that you need in it, including the diverter and the the saw, the cutting attachments, drill attachments to cut the holes. The only thing it doesn't have is this overflow thing. So you just need a PVC elbow, and you're fine. Am I doing this? Am I hitting a button? Okay. All right. Okay. You can also buy completed rain barrels, that look cute and fancy from, your Lowe's, your Home Depot, etc. Those are more expensive. They're going to be about $100 a barrel. But hey, they look nice. And you can also buy stuff from Amazon. I think this actually came from Temu or is available on Temu if you like Chinese spyware. this is $10 on Temu, but I think it's like $20 on Amazon. So you can buy this type as well if you want. And yeah, I'm sorry, I don't know how to use PowerPoint apparently, or clickers. Okay, I can get it. So the do's and the don'ts. So I talked about elevating it. Oh, don't use a collapsible hose. You know those hoses that expand when you put water through them? That's not going to work because there's no pressure. So do use the water. Why do you have a rain barrel if you're not going to use the water? Lots of people get rain barrels and they don't use the water, and then they just breed algae and nastiness. So yeah, use the water, and then keep mosquitoes out. So one of the downsides of this one is this screening up here is way too big to keep mosquitoes out. So you would have to actually modify it. They would be able to get in there. It is recommended to use actual mosquito screening and not window screening. It has slightly smaller holes. And so for this style, the way that I was shown to do it is just put it over and then use like a bungee cord and wrap it around the outside. I would do it if I wasn't holding a microphone. Well, actually that's later on, but okay. And then clearing it out once a year. Just put some water in it. You can use a broom, just knock out the debris, knock out the bit of algae. If you get one of these blue ones, they're gonna grow algae less than a white one or a clear one. So try not to get a white or clear barrel nearby them. Plan for overflow, I talked about that. I talked about the PVC elbow. This is a more fancy overflow system. You can have it overflow into a rain garden. And replace components. So your bungee cords, replace them about once a year because they're gonna fray, they're gonna start breaking down, and some little kid's gonna be walking by and they're gonna have like a Christmas story moment as it snaps and hits their eye. So you don't wanna do that. Just check the screening once every now and, like once every couple years, and make sure there's no giant holes in it, mosquitoes aren't breeding in it. Don't attach it to your house. So don't drill a hole in your siding and attach the rain barrel to it. It's a really bad idea because these things weigh 450 pounds when they're full. And if this gets knocked over, it's going to rip all the siding off of your house. If you want to put it into the frame of your house and you know what you're doing, yes, you can do that though. Don't put a rock down under the spigot. Don't create a new erosion zone by having all of this water coming out of the place that it's draining. Don't use landscape fabric, which is, I left it in my, it's okay. I didn't pull it out. But don't use landscape fabric. It will rot. It's plastic material, and it's not even good as a weed barrier, so just don't use that. Don't buy it. It's not going to work well. And don't use a trash can. There's a lot of DIYs for trash cans online. They can burst under pressure. They're not really built to withstand it. This is a food grade, heavy duty rain barrel. It's not going to pop on you. And don't drink the water. It's a really bad idea. So how can you use it? Micro irrigation works really well. I have tubing. And little holes in it. You can either use it with a valve, or you can just let it go, and just when it fills up, it micro irrigates. I'd probably put a little valve so that when you want to use the water, you just open the valve, it goes out, it waters your plants. You can buy pumps for these, very cool, running about like $60 or so, and then you can use the water anywhere you want to because, hey, now it's pressurized. You can build a rain garden. That's something that I'll do a class on later, but basically you're just going to kind of break up the flow of water with the rocks, and then you're going to plant plants that are really tolerant to lots of water, that also have deep roots to allow the water to permeate into the soil. Or you can just go old-fashioned and use a watering can and hand water. You can connect these in order to store more water because half an inch of rain and this whole thing is going to fill up. This person on the left went really overboard, I think. I think that's about 20 rain barrels, but you can connect them on the bottom. If you do that, you only need one spigot. and you can connect them on the top. You need multiple spigots if you do that. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to get the water out of the other ones. Either way works. And that's it. I say thank you to the people who, presentations, my predecessors, who, supplied me with some of the information. And there is a guide to rain barrels, that the QR code on that table, and it's put out by Southwest Florida Water Management District. It's about 37 pages long. It's pretty detailed. If you want more information, take a picture of one of those QR codes. And that's it. Thank you.
That was awesome. Thank you all so much. Let's give our presenters one more round of applause. Yeah, so thank you all. And just a few closing notes. There's not one magic bullet, right? There's so many ways that we can help. There's ways that we can help at home, out in our community, when we're near a water body. So hopefully you leave today inspired and ready to go out there and really become ambassadors and really, champion water conservation and protecting our water resources. So I appreciate you all being here today. I appreciate your interest. And thank you. That's it. Thank you. We'll see you next time.